What's up guys, my name is Sage. I'm going to bring you a video on how to maintain your Clone 5. This is just a general maintenance. Now if you want to look at the other videos that go in depth, I'm going to be posting some of those sometime down the road, so bear with me on that. This is more of a situation like you showed up at the field, you haven't cleaned your gun all week, and now you're not sure if it's okay to be used. Now before you play with this or practice with it or shoot it or anything, you want to clean it. And I mean like take all the lube off, put all new lube on, and just do your general inspection, and it's going to save you a ton of time, a ton of heartache from all those simple little mistakes you could have saved yourself from forever ago. Now let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is my other Clone 5 that I own. I was using this one this weekend for the Marcel Margot Clinic, so I do understand it's still dirty. I have not cleaned it yet, but that's why I'm doing this video. Now, as far as barrels, if your barrels are super soaked in paint, usually what I'll do is I'll go soak them in water. Usually, hot water is usually the best. Don't do like steaming hot, because I honestly think it kind of messes with paint. And messing with paint on a gun like this would be the saddest thing ever. Now, as far as what I'm going to do is, this is just like if you showed up to the field, you know your gun's good, it's been serviced, and you just need to do your general maintenance on it. What you want to do is obviously take your gun out. First thing you want to keep in mind is when you pull your bolt, if you have a little bit of a suction cup, now you can hear it just barely when you pull the bolt, but it's super tiny and it's more because of dirt than anything else. What you're going to want to do is, if it's bad, you're going to want to replace the orange tip. This is something that a lot of the Macdev techs have kind of figured out as far as this last month. A lot of teams have been having issues where the bolt will go out and then it will go to slide back in, and then it gets stuck on the feed neck in here. And not necessarily the feed neck, but kind of going back towards into the bolt system, and the orange tip will hang up, and that's what will stop like a gun shooting, and then you try to turn your eyes on and then you only get like a rifter ball. Pain in the butt. I had this issue where again, Macdev's been really good about ordering stuff lately. They're on the ball. Like you order stuff and most of the people are receiving it within 2 days. But I ordered a bunch of new tips, replaced them on all my guns, and the majority of my team's guns. We haven't had any issues since then. So that is the first thing you want to keep in mind, is if you're hearing that suction cup, and if so, clean it, try it again. If you're still hearing it, then maybe you want to replace it before you have failure in the future, especially at a tournament where it's going to matter the most. Now, one thing that I always do, this is, like I said, this video is just more like my personal preference, and this is stuff I've always done as far as maintaining them. Everyone's going to have their own different way. This way, it seems I've never had an issue with the Clone 5. Never in my life. I've always maintained these right. I feel like I've maintained them right, and I haven't had any issues. So, going from there, usually what I do when I pull the bolt, I will go through and wipe all the O-rings. One thing to keep in mind is when you're cleaning the O-rings, it's best to pinch them, kind of like this, because if you're pinching them, the O-ring won't rotate on the can or in the grooves, because then you're only really technically cleaning one spot of the O-ring, because if you spin it, then your O-ring's going to spin with your finger. That's just one thing I always do. I make sure I remove all the lube, all the excess lube, because at that point, if you try and lube over what you already have on there, it could be covered in dirt. From there, I'm just going to put this to the side. I just go through and I clean every little bit of lube off. Every little bit. I'll probably speed up everything. Make sure you get on the inside of here too. Now, another thing to keep in mind is a lot of people take this back cap off. I honestly don't think it needs to be taken off, just because there's not really much airflow that's kind of flowing back in there, other than it's pushing a little plate up against the back of this so you can't lift this when the gun's aired up. It's a safety feature they have. I never really bother with that. I'll maybe give it a turn or two, and if I hear like a grimy Like I can tell there's dirt in there, I'll clean it, but very rarely I ever have to clean that. Usually I'll just check the springs. Springs usually fairly good. I've never really had anything damaged from there. Yeah, just go through and clean a lot of these. Now the can, it's really important that you get the inside of it. Now I understand the O-rings inside, you can't pinch them, but usually I'll just pull my finger out, I'll shove it back in, and just keep cleaning it. Just kind of rotate the can with your finger as much as you can. Always try and clean the front part as clean as I can too, because that's the part that sits flush against the frame of the gun. The O-ring in here, usually I'll just kind of sit and do this and wipe it out best I can. Once I feel like I've gotten that O-ring fairly clean, and I'll just stick my finger back in there, the cleaner part of the rag, and wipe that inside ring best I can. I know it's spinning it, but that's not what I'm technically aiming for to clean. It's more there's a lip in here. And then just like I said, you want to do your inspection on all your stuff. Make sure there's no cracks, scratches, anything that will cause a malfunction and ruin your bolt. I think that's good as far as that. Now one more thing a lot of people don't regularly do, which I highly recommend because it keeps your gun from getting clogged up, especially with all these pores on the can and stuff. I'll usually ball up like one end of the rag, I'll shove it through one end, and I'll just spin it as it goes in. And that wipes out all the dirty lube, the dirt, the grime, anything in there that's in the way. And then just kind of spin it. And give it a few spins as much as you can. And then you just pull it back out. And then usually you can look down in it and you can tell that it's actually fairly clean. Now another thing that not a lot of people also do is if you take your squeegee and you run it through the back, it'll clean your eyes and detents and stuff. You just gotta be careful not to be too rough with it, because then you'll end up damaging detents. Yeah, that usually is the best result as far as like not having to get into the eyes. This cleans the eyes the best as far as I can tell. Do that. Okay, now that I have everything cleaned out, it's all nice and lube free. Now you can take your Macdev lube, which is supplied with every case. I've used this, it works great. I have nothing against it. My personal preference is I use monkey poo. I've heard a lot of really good things about them. I started using them back in the NXL 2017 in Vegas, and I have fallen in love with this stuff. I guess there's higher tolerances as far as heat and cold, and it helps protect the O-rings, and the friction ratio is far less than anything I've seen on the market, and I've actually been able to drop my clones dwell because of this stuff. I highly recommend this, but again, if you like the Macdev lube, you can use it. Macdev lube works just fine. This is just a personal preference. Now, lubing these things is a big key factor, because a lot of issues that I run in with teammates' clones or people that are at tournaments is they don't lube their gun right. And it's either because they put too much, they put too little, it's too dry, all that kind of situation. This is how I lube my gun, and I've never had an issue. I've never clogged anything. Just something I've always done. Usually when I just get like a small little fingertip, just kind of like that, just a little bit, and I'll rub it into my fingers between my thumb and my pointer. Just kind of rub it in there, and then that way I get a nice film on both things, and I just kind of pinch going around the O-ring. Again, you don't want to rotate, because if you do, then you're spinning the O-ring. I just pinch. And again, you just kind of keep rubbing it in. And usually the whole bolt, I'll usually cake the whole bolt, but it's a nice thin layer. When you rub it into your finger, it's just a nice thin layer. That's all you want. You really don't want a lot on the bolt, because these guns are already pretty dang efficient and smooth. They don't need a lot. Just a nice thin layer. Now another trick that I also do that not a lot of people also do is the inside of right here. I usually do the inside because the inside because, and now I got dirt on my bolt. Damn it. Now the inside, this O-ring on this little rod that sits on the inside of the bolt, that's what sits up against inside of the bolt. That O-ring will be hitting that lube. You're going to want to cover that lube, or cover the surface inside here with the lube, because an O-ring sits there. Anywhere an O-ring is going to be, if it's friction just sitting, you're going to want a little bit of lube on it to protect it. Now I'm going to re-lube this bolt because I dropped it. You don't want any dirt, period. Now once that's done, I'm just going to set that there nicely. Don't fall. Please don't fall. Okay, that works. Now I'm going to do the can. Now the can, pretty much the same methods. You just, anywhere you know an O-ring is going to be sitting. Now these O-rings on the middle right here, they're going to be sliding back and forth on the surface on the inside of the can. Not this surface right here, the one on the inside closest to the front. They're going to be sliding on that surface. That's the surface you're going to want to cover and move. And again, the O-ring inside, I just kind of go through, lube that up real good, wiping the excess off. You honestly, like, it should just feel like a really grimy, oily feeling. Nothing caked on, just kind of like you're eating bacon and that oil left on your fingers. That's kind of what you want to have it feel like. Again, you just want to go through and just cake all those, not necessarily cake, but cover all those O-rings up with the lube and that surface in there, and then your bolt should slide right through. I always run it back and forth, make sure it feels right. Once you do this enough, you'll kind of get the feel of what it should feel like. If it's stiff, you might have a swollen O-ring or anything like that. That's something you want to keep in mind. But as far as like knowing your clone fly, this is a big step to knowing it. Stupid hair, I don't know where it's coming from. Yeah, just run your bolt back and forth like that. Now, usually my kind of second to last step, I'll do this O-ring. Once you do that, I'm kind of running your hair back and forth. Feels good to me. I'm comfortable with it, and I can close it up. Alright, that's pretty much all there is. You just throw it back in your gun and you're all ready to go. Like I said, if you guys want to see more videos, please comment down below. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to specifically do. Again, I haven't quite figured out how to attach videos on the screen yet, so maybe I will, who knows. Well, just go ahead and, like I said, comment, subscribe. Just let me know if there's anything you want me to do, and yeah, peace out.